YouTube. All right. Hey, YouTube, what's going on? We are presented by StreamYard. They're not really a sponsor, but they're the platform we use and it's free. So StreamYard, shout out to you. All right, folks. Today's topic is going to be a good one, especially if you are trading in the markets right now. Let's do a quick sound check. Test. Okay, sound seems good. All right. It's going to be a good one today. We're going to actually give you one of the trading tools that I use during a market like this. So a lot of times when we talk on here, we talk about, creating wealth. We talk about financial literacy. We talk about relationships. But today I wanted to give you guys a tip and a tool that you can use to trade and make profits, even if the market doesn't do what you want it to do. All right. So that's going to be the nature of this conversation. I see that my Bluetooth headphones are not punching in right now, which is very annoying. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can get them going here. Well, let's see if that works. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna pop them off, and that's that. All right. So anyhow, all right, folks. So let's get into it. If you are on our StreamYard, I'm gonna share my screen, and this is going to give you a pretty good idea of what we're gonna talk about. So today's topic is cost basis. Now, what is that? All right, let's go into our photos. Kind of have everything set up for you guys here. So we're gonna do this real quick. All right. So typically when you look at stocks and you look at your investment strategy, you want to see kind of what your profits are going to be. And you do that based on how things look. So I'm going to click this over here and move this screen over. We don't need this. I'm just doing a little bit of quick maintenance here so y'all can follow us and not see all my personal business. All right. All right. Page, boom, go. All right, so cost basis. What is the average cost basis method? This is the one that we typically see when we are on our trading platforms. It shows you basically what your stock portfolio was, what it cost you to get into it. So let's say that today you went and bought 10 shares of a stock that was $10, right? Your original cost to buying these shares was going to be $100 because you bought 10 shares at $10. That's typically what an average cost basis is. It's the average of the cost of all the stocks that you purchased in that purchase offering. So for you folks who are doing mutual funds, okay, so my headphones aren't working, so I'm just going to turn them off, and we're not even going to pretend like these things are working. So let's say that you are, you're in the stock market, you've been investing in a mutual fund, you've been investing in a Roth IRA, you've been investing in a traditional IRA, your retirement at work, whatever it may be. Your cost is literally what you had to pay to get the shares on your account. Okay. That's basically what the cost is. Now I'm going to close this out. Wow. Like my internet is looking crazy right now. What the heck? Oh, let's go. Okay. All right. So here's how we're going to look at this, right? So whenever you're investing in a portfolio and you're trying to figure out how much your actual profit is going to be, the simple calculation for that is you take whatever you paid for what you bought, you minus it from what the total market value is worth, and that is your basic profit. Okay. So in our example that we just gave you, so $10, if you spent $10 per share on 10 shares, and that comes out to being $100 that you spent, well, now that $100 is your cost. If we decide to sell that stock in 2 weeks from now, or 10 years from now, and it's worth $20, right? It's literally doubled in value. How you would calculate what your taxes would be when you sell that stock is by looking at your original cost, what you paid for it, what the market value is giving you today, and that's your profit. Okay. So a lot of you right now, you're invested in the market and you're seeing your portfolio doing this up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, right? That is something that you have to deal with. But I'm going to give you a tip on how to let that up and down create revenue for you. Okay. So here's going to be our example, and this is going to be a very quick but useful example. So if you are interested in more of this, please join us every Wednesday. This is what we do. Here's my example. Okay. Boom. Hope you guys can see this. Okay. So let's say on July 10th, you bought 10 shares you bought 10 shares. You bought 1,000 shares at $10 a share. Okay. That's what you just purchased. Okay. Now on July 20th, your portfolio dropped in half. So you had a portfolio of $10,000, and the market value of that policy now is, of that investment is $5,000, because again, the stock price went from $10, dropped down to $5. Okay. If that happens, what do you do? Most of you are in this situation right now. What do you do when your portfolio drops in half? Well, here is the tip that I'm going to give you that I do, because I don't like to lose money. And it's important for me to maintain a proper, I can hear you guys. I can hear you guys. It's important for you to maintain a proper level of return no matter what the market price is. And you're going to be dealing with market prices that vary from high to low during this time. We have COVID, we have businesses shutting down, we have acquisition and mergers, we have stock splits. There are a lot of things in the news cycle that are going to make your stocks move, period. And I'm going to give you a real life example as to what you should look for when this is happening. Because again, when these stocks move, you have to know exactly what to do and when to do it. So let me pin this comment real quick. I want to say what's up to Mortal Group. What's going on, brother? JB, what's going on? Flower, how you doing? Producer Unchained, what's going on? Nice to have you with us. DC, Mr. Coleman, what's going on? All right, so we got some investors in the house, which is great. Okay, so in this example, your portfolio was $10,000. That's what you spent on buying those 1,000 shares. On July 20th, the price drops of your stock down to $5, right? So now you're struggling. Your stock is only, your portfolio is only worth $5,000. This is the strategy that I use personally. So what you're supposed to do in that point is you buy more shares. And ideally, if you could buy as many shares as you had originally, do that. If you can't, that's fine. But ideally, let's say I bought 1,000 shares, I'm going to buy another 1,000 at that price. And the reason for that is because the stock that you just paid $10,000 for is now on a deep discount. It's on a huge sale. It's now selling for $5,000. Think about if you were to get a car, and let's say the car costs you 10 grand, on July 10th, but on July 20th, you can get that car for 5,000. You'd probably buy 2 of those cars and sell the second one. You know what I mean? Like you're getting a huge deal by paying for that stock at the price that it's at. You have to think of investments not in the emotional way, but in the strategic way. The only way that you're going to be able to make back that money is by actually lowering the cost basis of your portfolio. Now, what does that mean? So in this example, it shows that we have $10, that's our cost. We buy another 1,000 shares at $5 10 days later, right? So our total average cost, which is what the example you had up there is you find that out by adding the first 2 purchases. So the buying of 10,000, the buying of 5,000, add them together, divide them by the total amount of shares that you own, which is $2,000. And you're going to get the average share cost, right? The cost basis of your portfolio is, in this example, $750. Okay. The key is to lower costs during market corrections and capture back the lost revenue during the rebounds. Now, in this example, let's say that on July 30th, right, the stock that you had bought on July 10th for $10 that went down to $5 on July 20th is now back to $10 on July 30th, right? That's the example that we have. If that happened, right, the first set of stocks that you had purchased would just be back to zero. They didn't make you money, but they didn't lose you money either, right? They're back to market value of zero. You paid for them. They're worth the same thing you paid for them. Cool. But the second batch of stocks that you paid for, where you got that $5 discount, where you paid $5 for that 1,000 shares of stocks, those shares, instead of them being only worth $5,000, which is what you paid, what they were costing at the time, they're now worth $10,000, right? So your 1,000 shares at $5 is now worth $10,000. The shares that you had at $10 is still worth the same thing. Your total account value is now $20,000, but you only spent $15,000 to do that. Let me rewind that for you. So, because I don't want to lose you on this, because this example is very, very important. Whenever you can buy the same stocks that you have, where the price dropped, and you can purchase it at a lower price, you are setting yourself up to win if the price gets back to where the original place was that you had purchased your stocks in the first place. That is the most important thing that I can tell you today. If you just employ that strategy, especially with stocks that are going to be around. So, for example, in our example today, I'm going to show you a company. The stock symbol. Oh, let me not do that. Cancel. Hold on. I'm going to show you a company. Stop sharing. Their stock symbol is OEG. And I'm going to show you what they did, because I want you to see that this stuff happens all the time. The news cycle is responsible for most of this, but we have to be wise with how we move. So look at this stock chart, okay? This is as of, I think this is today, all right? Do you see the climb on this stock? So it basically on the 15th, 16th, 19th, 20th, you can see that it's kind of moving, climbing up. And on the 21st, it spikes up, right? Cool. Sorry, on the 20th, it spikes up at the end of the business day. On the 21st, it falls, free fall. And I'm going to show you what that actually looks like. That free fall is actually, stop sharing. That free fall is actually, I'm going to give you the high and the low. Here's the high. $4.85 is the high. That's where it started. And then it dropped to that number there. It looks like $3.85. Okay, so it dropped by literally $1. Now, this is a $4 stock. So when a $4 stock drops by $1, that's 25%. That's a 25% drop, okay? That number is a very important number. If you are investing in stocks that drop by 25%, chances are they're setting themselves up for a huge rebound. That's literally what happens when stocks drop by 25% overnight. Like it's kind of an indicator for us. When we see that, we want to arbitrage that and maybe get 10 or 12% on the bounce back. There's a Fibonacci curve that works with that. We're going to have a whole episode on Fibonacci and just kind of looking at that retracement, seeing how far something's supposed to peel back once it's dropped by a certain amount. But it has a certain requirement. It's a swing trade, it's called. It's anytime you see something drop by 25 to 50% over a day or two, it's usually going to retrace back roughly anywhere from 10 to 20%, right? So let's say that you have a stock that's, doing its thing and then it drops by 50% one day, right? There is a retracement that happens after that where it's going to rebound from probably 10 or 12%. That's really what you want to take. And there are guys who literally look for that trade the entire time. They don't even buy and sell stocks like regular folk. They're literally looking for the swing trade, that little retracement. That's all they're looking for. The hook is what they're looking for. But for us, we use everything. All right. So this stock dropped from 485 down to 385, right? In literally one day. And the reason that happened, and this is how fickle the market is, and this is why you guys have to you have to have a strategy in place for everything. So the reason that happened was, and I'm going to give you exactly the reason. Here we go. Boom. Where is it? Here. So they are doing a sale of securities. And anytime you're selling securities or you offer securities for selling, it usually drops the price by whatever the sale price is that you're going to sell them for. So OEG has decided to sell 10 million and change shares at a price of $3.65. So whatever the stock price was before that, it was at 480 something. It's going to drop down to that because investors are like, well, I don't want to be involved until this price kind of goes back up. So there are things in the news cycle that force stocks to move up and down. But here's the play. So you saw that you had stock at 485. This thing dropped to 365, right? Cool. So the goal now is you buy in at 365. You buy in at 385, whatever that number is, you buy in there because again, if you had it at 485 and the price drops overnight because of a news cycle issue, okay, cool. If I know that that company is good for it and they're going to make it back up to that number, it's my job to then purchase as many shares as I can afford at that drop. Because it's not going to get lower than 365 because that's what it's offering. It's already making an offer for that. People are buying it for that. It's already been contracted out. So you know it's not going to go lower than that. Cool. So you buy there and then you just follow the stock as it moves back up. And when it gets back up to 45, what we just showed in our example of the 10,000 shares of stock that you have in value growing, that's the exact same that's going to happen, but on a 25% scale instead of a 50% scale. Right. So this strategy, I don't have a name for it, but I just call it, lowering your cost basis. The goal in investments is really trying to minimize what things cost me so that I can maximize the profit. Your profit is literally the difference between what you paid for something and what it's worth in the market. So if I can get the thing that I'm paying for to be cheaper or get it at a lower discount, that is the goal for any accumulation investor. So for me, the type of investing that I do, I like to invest when the price is right. I like to buy stocks when they are at a discount. And especially if it's a stock that I'm familiar with, I do this all the time because to me, that is the beautiful part of investing. Like you see companies and you're investing with them for a long time. It's like, why not ride these things out? Let me show you a list of the companies that I'm following, right? So check this out. This is my list. This was as of yesterday. All the companies were up, but there were a few companies in there that have been kind of dropping a lot in the last 6 months. So for example, Jumia, right? They were at what, 30 something dollars, and now they dropped down to 23. Strategy still works here because, again, I want to get, whenever it does this, whenever it goes down, the goal is to buy them when they're down there so that when they increase in value, you're making back up all of the money that you lost. Because, again, if I paid for Jamia at $35, right, and the price is now at $23, I've lost money in my portfolio. I still own the shares. I haven't sold any shares. I still own all the shares that I have. However, I now have an opportunity to lower my cost, my average cost basis, by buying more of these shares at a lower price. That is going to then lower the amount of actual cost that I have in my portfolio so that when the actual market price returns to where it's supposed to be, all that profit on the return is for me. That is the beauty of investing for the long term. Now, if you don't have the patience for that, if you're more of a person that likes to invest and make money right now, well, I would say looking at companies who drop by 25 to 50% in a day, and if it was for a news cycle issue, sort of like what happened with OEG, those are the kinds of companies that you want to now start looking at and putting on your watch list to say, okay, this company has dropped by 50%. It's time for me to maybe buy some shares of this because I know that I'm going to be able to trace it back around. And a lot of these companies have dropped. I mean, NEO, I bought that at $50. It dropped down to 30 something, and now it's back up to 40 something. Again, if I use the same strategy, NEO was at 50, dropped down to 30, buy more shares at 30 because now it's back at 44 or 40, 42, I believe. Let me see what it's at now. NEO is at 46. So for me, again, every stock in your portfolio, take a look at what it's done. Another one, Sundial, same thing. I bought into Sundial months ago. And I think I bought in at 87 cents a share, right? And in that time, Sundial went as high as $2.95. It did the whole run, went all the way up and came back down, right? And now it's trading for 87 cents at the close today. I bought more again. Why? Because I expect the marijuana industry to do what it's going to do. We're in a pandemic right now, so everything is slowed down. Things are not moving the way that they're supposed to, but that is a boon for you. That is a bonus for all of you, because if you're going to be investing in the market, especially during a time like this, you can take advantage of all of these things. You don't have to wait for the market to do what it's doing in order for you to win, right? So for me, again, look at your portfolio. Let me stop sharing the screen. Look at your portfolio. Look at what the stocks are doing in your portfolio and ask yourself, if I'm not trying to divest out of this company, does it make sense to buy more shares when the price is low? So ask yourself that, because again, the market, you have to be optimistic with the market. You know, some stocks fly, some stocks don't. Look at Bitcoin right now. You know, I mean, we can look at these things, right? So for all those folks who are crypto folk and have a lot of Ethereum and Bitcoin and all of that, let me pull out Bitcoin. Where are you? Right. Okay. So Bitcoin, perfect example. Bitcoin in January was priced out at $32,000 a share, right? Cool. In April, that went up as high as $59,000 a share, right? That's almost double. Okay, cool. Now it's back down to 33. What happened? Literally, it was here. In 3 months, it went here, and now it's back to here. Did the value of Bitcoin change? Did the purpose of cryptocurrency change? Did any of these things change? No. Is it still going to be a useful currency in the future? Yes. Are you going to be able to utilize it better than the US dollar? Yes. So what actually happened? What happened? I don't care what happened. What I care about is if I owned Bitcoin at $32,000 in January, I'm buying more shares now, because to me, I want to get them at this price. They have the potential to grow the way that they grew in the last 3 months. So you have to understand, every stock that you buy probably went through this cycle. It probably did. And this is pandemic related. This is economic related. This is an example of how the economy wraps into your investment choices. You can't always control if your portfolio is up or down. You may not have control over that, but what you have control over is the opportunities to buy and the opportunities to hold and to actually improve your cost basis. That's the conversation that you have with yourself. Hey, Kurt, what's going on? Patty, Bev, how you doing? Jorge, I see you. Mike Koziel. Oh, that's okay. What's going on, Mike? Sergio, what's going on, buddy? King Showtime, Leroy, Swaggy. Oh, we got people in here. Christina, what's going on? Okay. All right. Yeah, and like Kurt said, every stock has its ups and downs. I mean, that is what you're signing up for. You know, and there are people who want to sell the stocks when they're high and then, buy them when they're low. I understand those individuals. It's a lot of timing that you're doing, and I get that. But for me, if you want to be wealthy, right? There's only so much timing that you can put into your investments. Like, unless this is your full-time job, you're not going to be able to time everything. You're not. So what might serve you better isn't just timing the when to get in, when to get out, because that works sometimes. With part of your portfolio, do that. That's the fun part. But for me, the day-to-day grind would be, I just want to make sure that whenever I'm buying stocks, I'm buying them at the lowest price, period. I don't care what else is happening. If I'm accumulating more shares of stock at the lowest price I can possibly buy them at, I am building wealth. And you are not going to get rich in the stock market if you don't have shares. There's no way to do it. You don't get to get wealthy getting in and out of the market and not having your shares working for you when you're sleeping. Like, you have to have shares in the market. Millionaires and billionaires, the folks who have all that generational money, they had to start this way. And a lot of them started with their parents and their grandparents putting money in a trust fund for them in these same companies, in these same stocks, and just leaving it, not touching it, accumulating more, having the dividends put more into it. And they just kept buying more shares. That's all they did. It was nothing special. They just had more time than you. If you haven't invested before this, and you're looking at one of those trust fund babies that's your friend or someone that drives a Range Rover in high school, whatever it may be, the only difference between them and you is that they were accumulating shares before you. That's it. They're not smarter than you. They're not better looking than you. They don't have some sort of tricks hidden up their sleeves than you. Like, they're in the same position that you're in. They just started 2 generations ago. You're starting now. So the goal is, when you're investing, you just want to make sure that you're buying at the lowest price. You want to make sure that you're consistently adding to your portfolio, and you're not trying to just always time the market. Like, when I was in the investment game, and I'm still there now, but like when I was an actual advisor, this was back in 2006, going through 2011, right? Active advisor. We were taught to not try to time the market, because if you miss, you could cost yourself your job, and you can cost your clients thousands of dollars, right? So we didn't time the market with that. That's not what we did. But we looked at economic factors to decide if this was a good time to buy or a good time to hold. It was never a good time to sell. There was never a good time to sell unless the company is going bankrupt, unless like you're looking at their chart and it's just looking horrible. Like, there are times to kind of lower a position, but if you're already losing money on that stock, you're better off buying more shares of that at the lower cost, just in case if it rebounds even half. Because my strategy, again, will work in that scenario. Let's say that you have a Kodak or something where it's like a company that's constantly going down, right? If it's going down and down and down, and you already are fully invested, you have 1,000 shares, 5,000 shares, 20,000 shares of this company, whatever it is, as this keeps going down, just buy more. As long as the company doesn't go bankrupt, just buy a few more, because you're going to spend hundreds of dollars to pay for what you spent thousands of dollars to earn when it comes to shares. If it was selling at $1,000 a share, now it's dropping to $10 a share. Whatever you spent to buy one share, you can get, 100 more just by putting that same thing in. And if it even rebounds from $10 to $20, if that's all it did, after having dropped all that, you can make a killing off of going from 10 to 20. You don't need it to go all the way back to 1,000. And that's the beauty of the stock market. It gives you an opportunity to make your money back. And if you're not aware of that strategy, you're going to lose out on opportunities and think, okay, I'm losing money. My account is hemorrhaging. I don't want to be here. It's like, but no, you need to be here. You need to know that if you're doing this, you're going to make it back as long as you're buying at the lowest possible cost. And even if you don't know what the lowest cost is, continuously add to your positions. That way, if the market is trending down, if it's a bear market, you're getting a good value for the stocks that you're buying at that price. And then my example, I'm gonna pull it up again for those who just joined the room. So this is the example that I use of this strategy and why this is what I want all of you to do when you're looking at this market right now. An easy way to make 25% on your stocks, right? In this example, July 10th, you buy shares at $10. You bought 1,000 of them. Okay, so it'll cost you $10,000. On July 20th, the price of the stock that you bought earlier is now down. It dropped by half. Similar to what you saw in Bitcoin from 60 to 30. Similar to all these stocks that you're seeing. OEG, same thing. It dropped by 25%. Fine. So your stock portfolio went from $10,000 down to $5,000. You're hurting. You're like, dang, I'm hurting. Okay, cool. My strategy is buy 1,000 shares at that $5 cost if you can afford it. Whatever you can afford, buy. If you can't buy the 1,000, buy 500, buy 250, buy 100. I don't care, but buy something at that cost. Because what it's going to do is if the market rebounds back to where it was originally, you're making a profit on that entire run. That is the key to making money when the market is in volatile space like it is right now. That is the key to understanding when you see a news cycle blip where a stock is now issuing stocks at 365 and the price drops from $4.85 down to 360. You buy there. Buy there, because when it gets back to 4, you can sell all those shares you bought and make that profit and just realize that profit immediately if you want to. Again, like I told you, I don't like to sell things. I buy and I accumulate because that's where wealth is. So you have to look at your strategy, look at the stocks that you've invested in, and try to find ways to reinvest in those stocks, especially when your portfolio is trending down and the stock prices are dropping. That is the time to buy. There is a saying in our business where when people are greedy, be fearful. When people are fearful, be greedy. That's something that is trend. That's a financial advisor's mindset the whole time. If I see an opportunity where people are afraid, but I know that there's an opportunity to make money there, I'm jumping in on that. I'm going to buy the shares that you're selling. If you're saying, oh, my stock went from 10 to 5, I don't want this portfolio, I don't want the stock anymore. I'm the guy stepping in like, okay, I'll take that at $5 because I know it's supposed to be at 10. Just a news cycle issue. I'll wait. I got time. I'm going to be right here waiting. That is the key. So in this example, if you repurchase that same stock at $5 and you buy the same 1,000 shares that you had, so now you own 2,000 shares worth of this stock, it costs you 15,000. As if that stock rebounds back to $10, you've literally made $5,000 profit just like that on your portfolio, 33% gain. Like that is the beauty of this strategy. Do not fall for account value, market value. Don't fall for that. Fall for cost basis and potential and accumulation of shares. Like when you're investing, try and think of it this way. In this market, it's the last thing I'll tell you because we're going to wrap this up. It's not going to be as long as the other ones, but in a market like this, it's important that you recognize that the most important thing that you can do is to buy as many stocks that you can afford and continue to contribute to your portfolio every 2 weeks or every week, whatever your consistency is. That should be your only objective, is continuing to purchase more stocks every chance you get. Because if you keep doing that, I can't guarantee it, but in a 20-year span of time, 15 years, 15 to 20 years, you're going to be up. If everything is as is, if everything goes the way it used to be, if past performance just happens in the average, you're going to be up. And we have to think that way because, again, there's a lot of stuff happening. There's a pandemic, stock markets are volatile. Companies are doing what they're doing. There's a new variant for COVID. So, y'all check your health. Make sure you guys are doing your thing. Even if you're vaccinated, you can still spread the virus. So don't think that you don't need to wear a mask. Like you're not immune. And this new variant it doesn't care. It may not kill you, but you can spread it to someone else that it can kill. So still try to avoid getting the virus in the first place. But in a time like this, we can't promise you that your stocks are going to be there in 20 years from now. I can't promise you that. I can't even promise myself that. But what I can promise you is that as long as you're contributing, if things maintain the way that they have, that's all. If they maintain the way that they have, you're going to be better off having invested in yourself than not and waiting, because that's not going to serve you. It's important for us to set ourselves up for the future. And I feel like, my parents didn't start investing until they were in their mid, 30s and 40s. I started investing when I was in my 20s, right? I feel like all of the youth today, you guys have such a great advantage that your parents may not have had. And it's important that you start now, like if you at the age of 30 start investing, right? By the time you're 70, after 40 years, hopefully your money doubled 4 times, you're going to be in a much better position than if you hadn't done it. You're going to be in a much better position than if you just did it half-heartedly. Like by you going hard and making sure that you're spending time, putting your 10% in, investing it with people who will understand how to invest, and just putting yourself out there, it gives you the courage to know that you're going to be better off than not. Because that same stock that you're seeing at $4 right now that we just saw with OEG, when that stock gets to $40 and you owned, 2,000, 3,000 shares of that, you're set. All it takes is one. It doesn't take 100 different types of stocks to make you a millionaire. It just takes one good stock and you accumulating many of those shares while it's new. And again, we talked about the cannabis space. We talk about renewable energy. OEG actually is a renewable energy company. They actually have solar, they have wind, they have fuel, renewable biofuels. They're just a really well diversified long-term strategy type company. So for me, I look at them as they're not a winner like right now, but they just secured a contract for the next 3 years to put through a pipeline through a couple of states. And I'm like, as long as you guys do what you're scheduled to do, you're gonna make bread. I'll invest. I'll spend shares on $3. I'll spend that, because when that goes to 20, 30, 40, 50, we're living. And that may not happen for 5 years. That may not happen for 20 years. Who knows how long it'll take? But if you get in at the cost, when the cost is low, and you just accumulate as many shares as you can afford, you're going to be better off. That's the key. You don't have to do this. This isn't math. This isn't math. This is just consistency and setting yourself up for success in the future by being consistent today. There are people in your life who will rather you spend money on expenses as opposed to on assets or investments. You need to check where you want to be, because you can be the person that goes and buys the brand new car, or the guy that invests that same $13,000 into a stock that grows to $50,000. Which person do you want to be? And you have to think about every choice that you make. Like, are you, with all of your spending habits right now, are you investing in the things that you have? Or are you just spending on the things that you have? And there's a difference. When I spend on something, it doesn't come back to me. When I invest in something, I'm getting a return of it, whether it's, quality food, whether it's a roof over my head, whether it's a vehicle that saves me on gas, whatever it is that you invest into, it's going to give something back to you. And I feel like we need to move from a generation of people who just buy things just to buy them, to a generation of people who invest in things because we know it's the right choice. Like, there's got to come a time where we start investing in things, in each other, in ourselves, in stocks, in real estate. Like, for example, Kung Pao that just joined, she invested in herself and has a whole damn garden in her backyard, which I need to find out where you're at so that I can get a watermelon or two, because I'm just saying, apparently you have watermelons that are delicious. And I'm just saying, I don't know if you're growing avocados, but if you're growing an avocado, I'll take one. But if you're not, I'll get it from the grocery store. But like, she invested literally in a garden, and she is growing everything. You name something, name a pepper, name a hot pepper, name a herb that you need. She is growing that in her yard. Why? Because it's better to have organic food that you pull out of the ground and you can eat at your dinner table for a salad, as opposed to you going to the grocery store and not even being able to get one good apple. I can't even get one good apple at the grocery store. I've been trying to shop for apples with my wife for the longest time. And you have one. Oh, you have one. Okay, so when you're cutting that, let me know. When you're cutting that melon, let me know. Is there enough? But yeah, like, that's, to me, we have to get to that space where we're investing in our health, we're investing in our skill set, because even homegirl Kung Pao, the way that she's moving, like, she is learning how to grow food, literally learning how to be a person that understands when to pick something, how to clear the space, how to make sure that your plants are growing healthy, how to clip it and give it away. Because I think when you give away some of your plants, they just keep growing. There's an abundance to plants where they just continue to give you. The more you take off of them, the more they want to put on you. So it's like, to me, we have to start investing in things. And if that's your garden, boom. If that's yourself and your stocks, boom. If that's the type of vehicles that you drive, boom. If that's opening up a business that can generate another $1,000 of income a month, boom. If that's starting your own bag company, boom. If that's learning how to sail so that you can actually buy a sailboat and charge people for charters. Like, we went on a sail for my wife's birthday, and it was one of the most amazing experiences that I've had to date. Like, looking at the sunset on the water. Let me tell y'all something. If y'all have never looked at the sunset on the water before and just like took the time to just stare at the sun, you're missing out on life. Like, it is a life altering event. And to be able to understand how a sailboat moves in the water, the fact that 12 o'clock is the brakes and everything from 11 o'clock to 5 is power. You can literally move your boat. As long as you've moved the sail to any of those numbers, it moves. And from 1 to 5, your boat moves. Like, it literally is a beautiful skill to learn. So I feel like we have to get to a space where we're in a position to not only learn and grow things and grow our mindset and grow our experiences, but get everyone around us to do the same thing. Like, this has to be contagious. I don't want to just do Wealth Wednesdays every Wednesday and we talk about the strategy of how to, buy stocks to lower the cost basis to make that profit. We can talk about that all day long. And if you missed that, I need you to go back and review this video, because that's a strategy that you can use to make money in a down market. A quick example, you bought a stock at $10. A week later, it drops to $5 because of market news, whatever have you. Buy more at $5, because if it goes back to 10, you're making the difference between those two on the way back up. So it looks like nothing happened, right? It went from this to this to this, but you're making money when it's down. You're making money when it goes back up. That's the goal. You want to catch the rebound, make the money. There's an example that I have on there. Just look back and just pause the screen, review the notes, you'll see. But we can talk about that all day long. But if you're not able to apply that same strategy to life, then you're missing out on something great. Like, if you can't see that, if I was going to buy a car, and instead of me paying $21,000 for it, I can get it for $10,000. Like, literally a car that I own right now, bought it for $21,000, right? That same car today is worth 11 grand. 11 grand. Same quality, same mileage, whatever. I'm really considering buying another one to do what I'm doing with that car, because I'm getting it at a discount. And as long as I can pay off for the first one and get that done and run a business and do my thing, I can make double the profit. Like, we have to start looking at all of these opportunities. It's not just stocks that makes you money. It's being wise with your investment choices. It's about being the owner and not the renter, being the person that is giving a service that is worth something that people are going to pay you for. Like, you've got to make yourself a profitable investment. Make yourself a profitable investment. My friend Kung Pao, if I'm ever starving, I know I can go to her crib and she can give me a whole basket and it won't cost her a damn thing. It might cost me money, but it won't cost her a penny. Why? Because she spent the time and invested the time into something that could benefit others. And when you do that, you're going to see money. You're going to see things come your way that you never thought about, because that's just what it is. So we've got to learn to invest in each other. We got to learn to invest in ourselves and to apply that logic to everything. Don't waste money on stuff that doesn't come back to you. Like, don't do that. Like, your time is worth more than anything you have. So spend it learning something that can make you better. Spend it with people who uplift you. Spend it in relationships that are meaningful. Spend it with experiences that can change the way you think, so that you can be a better version of yourself the next day. Like, where's the investment in that? Like, why aren't we talking about that? Why aren't we talking about how important it is for you to invest in yourself, invest in your growth, invest in your ability to tolerate? Like, we are very intolerant people in 2021. We don't tolerate a lot of things as we should. And I feel like there is a shift happening with all of us, where you have to be more accountable to who you are, to how you project yourself, to what you're like when you're at your worst. You know what I mean? Like, if that's all you ever did in life was just continue to be better when you're at your worst, you're going to be a great person. You're going to raise amazing kids. You're going to raise an amazing family. You're going to have a great business model. You're going to be included in a lot of projects because people are going to see that energy and want to be around it. That is the beautiful thing about this whole aspect. Like, you have to improve yourself, and it doesn't start with just, your stock portfolio. It starts with your mindset with your stock portfolio. It starts with your mindset with the things in your home, your mindset with the things at your job. It starts with all the small stuff. Like, we put not enough on how important it is to set up and have good character and good morality when it comes to the small things, being just a good person to strangers, being a good coworker, being able to not judge people based on their circumstance, being helpful, donating your time. Like, there's a group of young boys in upstate, and I was invited to go up there to their graduation. They're graduating, and we're looking to fundraise $500, I guess a $500 fundraise for each of them to help them with college, with books, with stuff like that. And I'm trying to find that money to give to them immediately, because it's things like that that matter more than you buying a PlayStation 5, which I have, but it's just that I need that. You know what I'm saying? But you have to invest into people, invest into things that are righteous, invest into learning things that are going to give you an advantage in the future if things go south. If everything goes south and grocery stores are closed, someone on this chat is going to be well fed and it ain't me. So I got to make sure I'm friends with them, right? Like you have to know like everything that you're doing is going to benefit the community. And at that point, if you're not trying to find skills that benefit the community, you're selling yourself short. There's a much more that you can do. You know, my dad is sending us mangoes. Oh, is he? I didn't even know that. Mangoes can't survive here. See, I didn't know that either. See, I'm looking at the chat right now. Community garden to teach the youth. Heck yeah. But you know what's even better than community garden, Mortal Group? Having your own damn garden in your house. That's better. Having a hydroponic garden in your house, learning how to grow stuff. Like being able to see that nature doesn't need us. It just does its thing. We just need to like help encourage the space for it to do its thing. Like we're small in the grand scheme of things. What's going on, Rob? We're small in the grand scheme of things. All we have to do is just exist and allow the things around us to benefit us. That's it. And life is good. So there's an echo I'm hearing. Oh boy. Uh-oh. Where's the echo at? Let me see here. Is there an echo on the YouTube, folks? So Instagram, are you guys hearing an echo on there? I just want to know. Or is that just YouTube? If that's YouTube, I'm sorry. I know what to do. I got you. Let's deal with that. All right. Let me know. All right. So we have an echo on our StreamYard. StreamYard, we're sponsored by StreamYard, but you guys can't get your echo together. StreamYard, y'all messing with me. All right. So lastly, but certainly not least, there are people that are waiting for you to be great. I want to say that one more time. There are people that are waiting for you to be great. What are you being held back on? What's preventing you from being the person that you're supposed to be? Like, I met a woman and met her in Clubhouse. Great, powerful woman. And she had an idea. She had a project, signed on it. I'm like, you know what? I believe in your vision. I believe in you as a person. And I'm going to invest my time into what you're doing because I have faith in what you're doing. I trust that it's going to do what it said it's going to do. And we have to understand that there is a purpose for us here. There's a purpose. There's more than one. But what won't happen is you won't find yourself there because you might be distracted. You might be doing things that aren't serving the purpose that you were here for. So I'm going to let y'all know right now, the idea of doing the way and doing all of this came to me at work. Being able to give back came to me at work. And I wrote it down on a notepad. It was something that was on my spirit, you know? Shared it with my wife. And she was like, I love this. When do we start? I'm like, what do you mean, when do we start? I just shared an idea with you. I wasn't ready to start yet. But she's that type of person where it's like, are we doing this or are we not? Don't bring me something if we're not doing it. Like, don't tease me if we're not doing it, right? Cool. So the next week we started. I talked to my buddy, who is a producer, songwriter, artist, and he gave me ideas on like the name, how to set it up. And before you knew it, it started something, right? And the momentum just worked at that point. Like the hardest part was just starting. And then everything that happened after that was just faithing it and being committed to the process. I remember I had to argue with my wife about having a Wealth Wednesday on our daughter's birthday, right? And I'm like, listen, I'm going on a Wednesday. If not, I'm going to record it on a Tuesday, but I need to make sure that I'm pulling out content for the folks that are following us because they rely on this. They expect this. This is what it is. And I have an obligation to be here. You know, I don't like to miss a Wednesday. I don't like to miss an opportunity to interact with you, to love on you guys, to share something that worked for me. Like these are all things that I do every week. And I'm thinking throughout the week, what's significant that I can share, right? I'm saying all that to say this. Whenever an idea comes to you, you're not the only one that gets it. There are other people that get the same idea that you got. The only difference between you and them is whether or not you have more grit to execute that idea as opposed to that other person. Don't think that you're the only genius in the room. You're not. You're one of many geniuses. There's a lot of gifted people that you're going to encounter or not even see depending on your networks that are here doing amazing things. And if you're not connected, you're not going to know them. Literally, I have met the most amount of gifted people in the last, I'd say 7 months than I have in my entire life. Why? Because I joined Clubhouse, entered into the right rooms, met a bunch of amazing people, read a book that showed me a lot of things, and just my energy at that point just shifted. and it started encompassing different things. And before I knew it, I'm now surrounded by a tribe of individuals that are powerful, that are strong, that are faith oriented, that are righteous, that want to see the best for myself and my family. Like, it is an amazing experience to see what can happen in a pandemic of all times, right? You have to know that you had a purpose before you were born that you're either going to live through or understand through. But you playing small doesn't save or help us. That doesn't make anything better for anyone here. So for me, I would say play to your strengths, continue to surround yourself with like-minded individuals, take chances, make mistakes, learn and grow from them. Every opportunity to mess something up is literally an opportunity to have an experience that gains a level of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding through that experience. There is nothing, and I feel like, be okay to failing at something. Like, be okay making a mistake, whether it's with your stocks, whether it's with what you pick. I picked the stock and it's just been, doing the worst. That's okay, because you actually committed to learning something, whether it was by success, trial and error, failure, you learned something, right? We have to put more energy in the experience and less energy in the results, because the results are going to be positive if you are learning and growing through every experience. Every time that you fight with somebody and you have an argument, think of it this way. Try to be less mean every time you have an opportunity to be fully mean. Try to be more understanding every time you have an opportunity to not have to care about somebody's feelings or opinions. Like, if all you ever did was try to be one incremental step better at the things that are in front of you, you're going to get a lot more opportunities to do things. And it is karmic, it is energy, it is holographic. Like, what you imagine and think for yourself in every interaction is literally a test. All of it. This whole thing, everything that you're experiencing right now is all a test to see whether or not you deserve what you're supposed to get in this experience. That's all it is. If you have negative thoughts, you're going to have a negative circumstance. If you have positive thoughts, positive circumstance. If you have organs that are not functioning correctly and you think negatively about those organs, they're going to feel that and they're going to listen to what you're saying. Your body, your experience listens to your subconscious. This is the power of things. And this is why I do not play when people say things to my subconscious that I don't agree with or that doesn't resonate with me. If you talk to my subconscious, I'm going to curse you out if you're not speaking the language that I speak. So if you're not giving me positive vibrations, if you're not going to think positively about the things that you're interacting with, don't talk to me and don't think to me. Don't do anything towards me, because I don't want anything to do with you and your experience, right? Like, we have to get to a space where we are protecting ourselves. We are protecting our energy. We're protecting the people that are around us with our subconscious thoughts. Like, love people in here. Love them in here too, but love them in your subconscious. Get to a space where you're meditating to 528 megahertz when you go to bed, 432 megahertz when you go to sleep, 428. Like, learn about these frequencies when you go to bed so that you can program your subconscious to repair itself, to heal your mind, to heal your spirit, to raise your aura. All of these things. There are people in this earth who can look at you and read your aura to know what's wrong with you. There are people that can do that. It's documented. There are people that can look at your aura and tell you what's wrong inside of your body. It's been documented. I'm reading a book called The Holographic Universe. I'm halfway through, and the amount of experiences that is in this book about what has been going on and how people have these gifts. They're gifts. You all have the potential to have those types of gifts. The only reason why you're not able to tap into that is because you're still blocking yourself, whether it's with your diet, whether it's with how often you eat, what you eat, how you think, the type of rest and peace that you create around you, the type of relationships that you have, whether they're good or toxic, the type of, work that you do. All of these things play into your abilities. So if you're doing things in a way that is not an advantage to you, you're missing out on the opportunity to be a much greater, more powerful being on this planet. And I've met powerful beings. I'm gonna tell you, they exist. They're here and they're doing big things. And if that's not you, why not? Ask yourself, why not you? Okay. So y'all, I can talk about this all day long. Like, this ain't even about money anymore. This is about life. But I digress. There is something that y'all have to understand, and that is, you will get everything out of the experience that you put into it. If you half-ass your way through life, you'll get half results. If you put your energy into the right things, you're going to get good results out of those things, and they're going to benefit yourself and your family long term. Everything that I do right now, I'm doing it for my family. I'm not doing it for myself. I'm learning all these skills and tools so that I can give my daughter a better life and my future kids a better life, because that's what my father and my mother would want for me. If they were, if, they're here with me, then God bless them. Like, but if they pass, they're going to want to know that their grandkids are taken care of. They want to know that their children are okay. That's what every parent wants for their kids. For me, whatever I do today isn't for my benefit. It's for the benefit of those who I love and those who are around me. So this is a passion project that has turned into the way, and I'm happy for it. And I'm grateful that you all spent your time with me here. Again, just to recap, today we talked about cost basis. We talked about what that means. That's the actual cost of what you paid for your shares. And the goal is to lower the cost basis at any time, any given time you get. So the goal is, if you have a stock that is worth $10, and because the market's being volatile, it's dropped to 8, it's dropped to 7, it's dropped to 5, it's dropped to $3. You need to buy more shares at those lower prices, because it is going to lower your cost basis, which again, the lower that goes, whenever the stock rebounds, you're making the difference in profit. That is the goal for any investment advisor, any investor. You want to maximize your profit. Sorry, I just kicked the phone. So that is the goal. If you missed it, just log in and you'll see for the first 25 minutes, we go through the example. And to me, that is a strategy that I've been using since I've been investing, and it's made me a lot of money because I never lose. I never lose. Over time, I don't lose. In a 10-year span, there's no stock that I've picked that has gone down. So just think of that. And again, there are stocks that you can pick that can go down, but for it to fit my criteria, it's got to be a stock that's going to survive. There's a couple of things that I do. So there's reasons behind it. But the one that I'm going to give you today is OEG. And I'm going to put it up here one more time. Y'all need, if you've never heard of this company before, okay, if you've never heard of them, I'm betting on this company. I'm betting that they're going to do great things because they are buying in a pandemic. They're acquiring other companies in a pandemic. They're diversifying their revenue stream. They're diversifying their offering. They're in the renewable space, renewable stocks, renewable energy, renewable gas, anything that's in that renewable space, I'm here for, because going forward, that's going to be the market. California's talking about 2030, no gas vehicles in all of California. I want to be with a renewable company before they blow up. So for me, I am just preparing for that. This may take some time. This may not grow into something in the next year. This might take some time, but at this price, I'm okay with that. I'm going to pay this price and wait the time, because I'm young. I can wait the time. If this takes me 5 years, I'm waiting. If it takes me 10 years, I'm waiting. But I'm telling y'all right now, a company like this that's buying companies, that's doing what it's doing, these are the kind of companies that you want to own as many shares of as you can while it's doing this, because it's going to go from this to $20, from this to $100 over time. And the more shares you got at 375, the happier you're going to be when it goes to 125. I remember American Express, like this was last year. American Express was trading for $87 a share or something like that. I'm like, yo, American Express is just a good company. I just like them. And after I always watch them, and like they literally just keep on trucking. Like, what are they at right now? Anyone know what American Express is at? Because I love that company. Let me see. American Express. Come on. I know it was like, okay, here we go. $172 a share. Last year, that company was trading at $87, $88, $90. Like, there are companies, like I said, as long as you're buying in and they're good companies and they're going to survive and they have a really good, business model. These are companies that you look at their chart for 6 months, straight growth. For a year, it just looks like this. This way. You're in the screen. It's going up. That's all it's doing. It's just this. Like, that's what you want in a stock. Period. You can't be wrong in a stock like this. Like, literally, American Express, even if it was $172 right now, if you can afford it, buy it. It's only going to keep going up because their clientele is a specific group of people. They don't just give stock. They don't give gift cards to any old body. They look for a certain clientele that make a certain amount of money, and they want to be the premier card that they use. That's a niche. You've got to invest in things like that long term. And when you do that, when that company goes from 98 to 172, whatever many shares you bought at 98, they're doubled. They've doubled in less than a year. I'd rather try that at $3 than $90. You feel me? Like, that's just me, because I like the value of that. Be like that. Be like that. It's going to save you time. It's going to save you effort. It's going to save you money. So folks, I think that's my time. It's 8:59. We're going to be doing Clubhouse at 10 o'clock tonight. It might be pushed back because I know that Chief of Moon is probably in the room right now speaking. So we're going to, I might have to push it back, but hopefully I don't. And there's a reading, a book reading again on Clubhouse. So if you're not connected to us on Clubhouse, please get over there. There's a lot of amazing, melanated folk that are doing some amazing things over there. And if you're not a part of it, I need you to be a part of it because we are moving and things are happening. And I'd rather be a part than be left out. Straight up. Like that's the thing for you folks on YouTube, same thing. We are aligning with some powerful projects, some powerful people, and you need to be involved. This is no longer about, individuality. It's about collectivism, like being one with the unit. We are all one. So Mortal Group, there's a community garden on Fulton Street and second. Oh, we got so see, community. This is what I mean. Sharing resources. There's a community garden on Fulton Street and 2nd East New York. So if you're in New York City, there you go. We just got some gems for that. So folks, I appreciate each and every one of you. I am going to end this over here on IG, and then YouTube. I'm gonna hang on to you guys for a little bit. So IG, I appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for joining me next week. I think the wife's going to be on, but if she's not, I'm going to do a part 2 of cost basis, and I'm going to go through real life examples of stocks that I'm watching that are doing this. In the meantime, I need you to do me a favor. If you're invested in the market, go and look at all of the positions that you have. Look and see if any of those stocks are down, and ask yourself, do you have any money in cash to put into that stock right now? That's all I want you to do between now and next week. And if you can make the jump, make the jump. Throw some funds on there because, again, a lot of the stocks that we've invested in as a group, they've all dropped by half. Like most of them have. This is your time to buy more before this pandemic is over, before things secure itself. You got to get in now. So get in, make that difference. There's my baby girl. So I got to go. All right. So IG, I'm going to see you guys later, man. I appreciate y'all. Okay. Love, peace, and we'll see you guys next week. All right. Later. All right. YouTube, I want to share my screen with you real quick. And I want to show you something because you guys are here. I want to give you guys, I have 2 minutes. So I got to do this fast. So I want to share with you window, this, share. Can you see this? Can you see my screen? Boom, you can see that, right? Okay, perfect. All right. This is what I was telling people about. American Express, right? This is a chart. And anytime you're going to invest this way. Invest looking at charts that range from a year to 6 months. That's really a good indicator to tell you what's going on. So if a chart looks like this, where for 6 months, it looks like it's just growing steadily, this way, it's growing steadily up, that's a perfect investment, in my opinion. You want to invest in companies that do that. Do a lot of companies do that? No. The companies that do that, they do it well. The ones that don't, look at BP, for example. Look at this. See that? Over the last 6 months, choppy as hell. Up, down, up, down, up, down. See, it's companies like this that you would do the strategy I just mentioned, which is if you bought on January and it was $20, it went up to 25, 27, Now it's back down to 23, buy again there. Always try to buy when it's at its lowest. That is the key. If you can do that, you're going to make money. The example stock that I was talking about was this one. And I'm going to go back 6 months. I'll go back a year. So a year ago, this company was trading at 55 cents a share. This is what I'm telling y'all. 55 cents in July, right? Literally, August of 2020. This is last year. This stock was trading for 59 cents a share. And now it's trading it went up as high as $8, $9, and now it's back down to $3, and now it's going over to what, $3.84? This company, the only reason why it went down is because they were merging. They were acquiring, they were buying other businesses. When companies buy other companies, they have to spend their capital to do that. And investors look at that as a negative, which is why the stock price goes down. Because if I'm already destined to have a high success rate, and I'm like, okay, let me buy some more companies so that I can increase my portfolio. It's like it's a shrinking to expand. We call it economies of scale. Sometimes you got to kind of like when you're trying to buy like a Range Rover or something, and instead of you spending money every day for lunch, you're just saving it. You're taking your packed lunch and you're being really cheap and frugal so that you can then drop that money on something big. That's essentially what these companies are doing. They're taking their time. They're literally buying things. They're spending the capital that they're raising. Investors are afraid of that because, wow, you're increasing your debts, But if you're spending your capital on companies that are going to improve your position, It's only a matter of time until you blast through this. So for me, in the last 6 months, I'm looking at this company. I'm saying, okay, they're buying companies, they're merging, they're doing all the things. Okay, cool. They had a spike because they got a contract last month. Went to $7. Cool. I have them. I own them at that price. When it dropped back down to 5, dropped back down to 4.32, I just bought more shares here. Why? Because at $4, I'm expecting it to go back to 8. I'm expecting it to go back to 10. I'm expecting it to go past that. And when it does, I might cash out, but I'll just be happy. The goal in this time is to accumulate more shares. And OEG is a great example of what this is going to be. So this is now marked. Record this. This is a recording on YouTube. So you guys have this as my pick. Okay? This is what's the date. So this is July 21st, 2021. I predict that OEG is going to do better than it's doing right now in the future by a lot. Okay? I said the same thing a year ago when it came to Jemai, and they were trading at $3 and they went up as high as 46. Now they're trading at 22. I'm usually pretty good when it comes to like seeing these things. So if you want to trust me, you can. If you don't, that's fine. But we're all going to learn together. All right. So YouTube, that is my last tidbit for you. I hope that you are happy with that. OEG is my little secret. So for folks who don't know about it, do some research, add it to your your stocks app on your iPhone, and just follow them. Follow the news cycle, follow what they're doing. And I believe that that's a company that's going to be around for the next 20 years. That's going to be diversified, and it's going to be a major player. All right. So YouTube, I appreciate y'all. I see you guys here representing, supporting. I appreciate you. Every week we do this. So feel free to come by. If you haven't liked our page, please like our page so that you can see these broadcasts come up. And I will catch y'all next week. So until then, be safe, love, peace, and we'll see y'all next week. All right. Peace out.